foolish mortals.
Hello there. Are you insane? Get out of here!
Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
Right, off you go.
Welcome to Average Joe Orlando. What's up, theme park goers? Pow, pow, pow. Nope, not doing that. Okay. No special effects on this show, just a not-so-average list. One of my favorite ones to do, our not-so-average list, and today I put together Orlando theme park shows. So I looked into the Orlando theme parks and put together a list of some of my favorite shows and gonna rank them for you. Let's dive right in. So I will tell you, this includes Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld, however, not so much SeaWorld, but they're in there once. There are 18. I didn't do every single show that is existing because there are a lot. Also, I'm not going to include parades or nighttime shows because there will be episodes for that one coming up. And then also special event shows like Mickey's Not So Scary, Very Merry, etc., 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 because they only go on certain times of the year. These are currently running shows in the parks that you can go see as of the recording today. But who knows, because things get canceled and changed all the time. But I broke it down to 18. So let's start with number 18. I'm going to say the Beat Builders over at Universal Studios, Florida. It went to the last on my list. One, because I like it, so it's going to go on the list. So it's actually going to make it. It's a fun show. It has the 4 construction worker guys where it looks like, you know, they're just coming out there and then they start banging on stuff, and then it ends for some reason with Beat It from Michael Jackson. However, it goes last because it is in the worst location possible. Not only are you standing in the sun to watch it, but you're blocking like a major intersection of the park. For some reason, I think Universal just doesn't understand park operations the way Disney does, and they just kind of throw things in that kind of block walkways. And you look at where it's located and you're like, you could move it down a little bit closer to the pizza restaurant towards where Beetlejuice used to be, RIP. That would be on the list, by the way. Beetlejuice would be like number 1. I saw that at Universal Japan. Phenomenal. Miss it. Fast and the Furious. Awful. Anyway, Beat Builders, just move the location, Universal. What are you doing? Stop doing that. They have that new show in New York where everybody's dancing in the streets, and it's just like, hey, let's just block the entire street for 20 minutes. You don't need to walk. Yeah. But overall, fun show. People like it. Get you going. Anyway, number 17, Beauty and the Beast live on stage over at Hollywood Studios. This is a classic Disney show. Feels like more of a what you'll see on a cruise line show. My biggest issue with it is it has never changed or been updated, and it's a little dated. Overall, it's fun. People like Beauty and the Beast. You get to see the characters. It's a little weird when the giant teacups come out on stage and they're the same size of people. If you ever see the Broadway show or I'd say a retelling with a budget, they do a better job of, like, Chip is small and they do a good job with it. However, this one's a little weird when you get the giant characters on stage. It also, only 2 of the characters really sing and everybody else kind of just moves their mouth the entire time. So it's a little bit of the abbreviated version. It's fun just to see it because I remember watching the exact same show when I was a kid. So it is fun for that. However, it feels like you could definitely replace it, to me, with a Tangled show. Like, let's just update it with Tangled. But there's a lot of Beauty and the Beast. If you ever notice, like, Disney has like certain IPs or their, certain characters that they just throw in every park. Like, you have the Beauty and the Beast thing over at Magic Kingdom, and then you have it at Hollywood Studios. You have it over Little Mermaid at Magic Kingdom, and then you have it over at Hollywood Studios. It seems like certain ones, I'm like, you have other stories. Come on, let's hear more about some of your other ones. But apparently Beauty and the Beast is one that they're just really all about. Number 16, we'll travel back to Universal Orlando for the Blues Brothers show. This is a fun one. It's on a side street, so good job, Universal. You only blocked a side walkway, not a major walkway. This one's fun because it also hasn't changed since opening. They used to do, I don't believe they do anymore, the Christmas show. Maybe they do. It's fun and also super dangerous because they have their old car that just zooms down the street and parks, which every time it gives me agita. There's my Italian for you. Giving me agita. Just because I don't trust theme park guests not to walk in front of a moving vehicle. But it's that old smelly car from the movie, and it's so cool that it still works, and they drive it through the park, which is to me, old school Universal, having characters just roaming or driving around the park. If you look at old videos, they used to have characters like driving bicycles around, and it was just neat. So it's fun to see the car driving around with the Blues Brothers. They're also really talented, not only the Blues Brothers, but they have the singer and the saxophone player that come out too. And then it always just gets people going and clapping and everything. So it's a fun one as a good atmosphere kind of show, not a sit-down show. Number 15, Viva Gaia, the street band over at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now, you're going to see Animal Kingdom a lot on here. I always think Animal Kingdom is the best show park, which is so bizarre when you think about it, that Hollywood Studios should be the best show park, considering it's Hollywood Studios. And if you've been to Disneyland Paris, to the Walt Disney Studios Park, or Adventure World, that name makes no sense, that park has some great shows. That is a show park, which is good because they don't really have any rides. But going on a tangent there, Animal Kingdom is really a good show park. Viva Gaia has been there for a while. They're the band, if you don't know, across from Flame Tree Barbecue, which is, to me, the best quick service there. Ooh, Pandora's good, too. No. Barbecue. Barbecue's always number one for me. Ooh, but cheeseburger pods. I'm going on a lot of tangents today. Viva Gaia is fun. They always get the crowd going. They have a full band. They usually have a dancer that's out, too, getting everybody going. It just creates a fun environment for Discovery Island, where you're about to start your adventure, and still keeps with that theme of Animal Kingdom, where this is kind of where like the adventure's going, the party, before you head out on one of your adventures in one of the different lands around the park. So to me, Viva Gaia is a great one. Viva Gaia is always one of those that I'm like, oh, when budget cuts come around, please don't cut them. So if you ever remember too, back in the day, Pandora had a drummer ceremony where they would have the drummers and then interactive drums around, and they're still there. I don't believe they work. And following the trends at Disney, I'm going to say they probably are broken and they never fixed them. But they used to have a fun atmosphere kind of show there that wasn't as good as Viva Gaia. But that one's gone and Viva Gaia lives. So Viva Gaia. Get it? Viva. Okay. Next one, 14, also at Animal Kingdom, Winged Encounters. This one is cool. The only thing is I'm put it lower on my list because it's a little short. And not only that, the only cool part is really when the birds come in. It's also educational because they do talk about them. If you don't know, Winged Encounters is the one that takes place in front of the Tree of Life. And it's when all the birds fly in. So it's really cool. They trained all the birds over at Animal Kingdom to fly in around the tree. And it creates this awesome atmosphere, especially as you come over the bridge, you see the tree. And here comes all these different parrots, macaws, all these cool tropical birds. I don't know bird species. It's like the Tiki Room live. Let's say that. See? I don't know birds. But it's really fun just to have them all come around and fly around the island. They'll land on the branch and all the animal keepers are there, and they'll talk about the different animals and then also educate you on the different animals and their different habits and their learnings and how they train them and their eating habits. It's has that feel of the educational aspect, but also the excitement, plus also that unique element of just seeing the birds take off and everything too. So it's a really neat, really kind of interactive show. Short, one of those that you just kind of catch, nothing that you really kind of plan out, but it's a really good one over at Animal Kingdom. I'm glad they kept it. I remember when they were just starting it, and it was like, oh, this is fun. I hope it lasts because there's a lot of training that goes on, but it's a great show to see. See, look, Animal Kingdom on the list. But next, number 13, we'll head over to Epcot to Turtle Talk with Crush. Now, this is a really cool show because it is interactive and every show is going to be different. It's over in the Seas Pavilion, the Seas with Nemo and Friends. You don't have to go on the ride to do it. If you go in the exit of the area to the aquarium, it's in there as well. Usually not a long wait. Usually every 15 minutes or so is a show. There's floor seating so the kids can sit close to the screen. I'm sorry, the fish tank. Wink, wink. And to see Crush come up closer, and the kids can ask questions. Sometimes the kids ask really fun questions, so it's really fun to watch Crush interact with the kids and see what he comes up with. If you've never seen this show, it's fun. It's just a fun one to watch. Adults can sit on the benches a little further back. It's air conditioned inside, which is fantastic. And like I said, each show is different, and I think that's what makes it fun. For the technology of the show, it's cool, but at the same time, when you see, and I'll talk about my next one, It's a little bit more basic considering Crush does swim up and talk to you and interacts. But for my number 12 is Poe Live. And if you don't know that one, Poe Live is over at Universal Studios, and that's in the new DreamWorks land. And it's where the old ball factory was with Curious George. Now they gutted that area. That was really fun. The ball factory was cool. Basically, it was for kids, but I definitely went with my friends. And they had air guns where you had foam balls and you could shoot each other. And it was just fun to start pelting random other guests with foam balls. And it was this huge interactive ball factory, and they would dump out. Unfortunately, they gutted it just for this. However, I will say what puts 12 Poe Live over 13 Turtle Talk with Crush on my list will be the technology aspect of it. It's fun because it's the same concept where Poe will talk to you and interact with the audience, and also does some kung fu and kind of teaches you things, but he'll pick up things and talk about things on the screen. And if you watch, he's walking around, and it's definitely a different kind of technology. I've seen some of the, I'm a nerd and I'll watch all those YouTube videos about how they make them. Turtle Talk is more of a video game controller, spoiler alert, and while Poe Live is more of a headset where they're wearing it and acting things out. So it's kind of the next stage of technology for me of what they could do with this interactive element. So if you watch the show, it's funny because it's somebody impersonating Jack Black and doing Poe, but also is able to grab things around on the screen and talk about things. So it even just ups it more of the interactive element to make it that more interesting. Also, it's an outdoor show covered. However, it's one of those that's continuous, so the doors will close on the screen, and then they have a shadow of Poe walking around before the next one starts. So it's one of those that you can kind of just walk in, wander, and then wait for it to start, which is kind of fun as well. So that's why I'll say that will be number 12 on the list. Number 11, people might be like, really? For the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration. I'll put out this one. So Disney shows are interesting. I will say this one is one of them. I don't want to hear any. I don't go to a sing-along. However, I will say the two narrators, I think they play the townspeople, are so fun, and they remind me of the old Citizens of Hollywood. So if you remember back in the day, R.I.P., the Citizens of Hollywood were the interactive comedy group, the interactive people that would walk around Hollywood studios and act as if they lived there in Hollywood. And you would have the director, you'd have people driving cars. It really just brought that park to life. And unfortunately, during COVID was cut, and then they never brought it back. And to me, it's such a miss for the park because that was the old school park of Hollywood studios that I love and that I miss. And it's fun to have characters like that again. And that's the only reason this even makes the list. Not for the sing-along element. It's great for kids. However, I'm over Frozen. I remember when they brought this show was when they did the Frozen celebration where the entire park was frozen, and then they started doing Frozen everywhere, and that was the big joke that everything got a Frozen layover. But it's one of those shows that back in the day, this was Superstar Television, and I remember coming as a kid. I'm going to date myself right now, but it was I Love Lucy, I want to say Home Improvement, Gilligan's Island, and they would pull people out of the audience to be in this green screen kind of element. Nowadays, I don't know if that would work since you could do the same thing basically on your phone, but it was so fun back in the day. It was a high interactive kind of show. And then they did American Idol experience. Well, they did Disney's Doug Live. Never got to see that. However, if you ever see it online, the costumes, it's basically nightmare fuel over there. It's pretty creepy. Not nightmare fuel like the one at Universal, which would never make a list, but it's creepy. And then after that was the American Idol show, which terrible timing. Basically, Disney put on the American Idol show in that theater after American Idol kind of wasn't big anymore, and then got rid of it, and then ABC picked up American Idol. Very weird. But anyway, so then it became the Frozen show, which it's been for quite some time. And it works just because of the two narrators. They kind of make the show a little more fun, a little more interactive. They had that old school Hyperspace Hoopla, if you remember that back in the day. Oh, that was so good. Okay, going on a tangent. Hyperspace Hoopla was for Hollywood Studios, which we'll talk about in a future episode about the extinct shows of Hollywood Studios. But Hollywood Studios had Star Wars weekends. And I am not a Star Wars fan. I don't understand Star Wars. I don't get the hype. But I was all about the hoopla. The hoopla had all the characters on the stage, and it was in front of the hat, so gives you a reference of the time period. And they would come out and they would do like skits and a lot of lip syncing to current things. I guess if you're a huge Star Wars fan, you probably wouldn't like it just because you didn't want to see LMFAO being sung by Chewbacca. They definitely had things like that. But it was just fun. It reminded me of like the Bill and Ted show over at Halloween Horror Nights, but with Star Wars characters. And they had 2 hosts that were very similar to this one. Okay, I spent way too much time talking about the Frozen sing-along. Let's move on to number 10. I'm going to give it to the DreamWorks Imagination Celebration. Now, this is a new show over in DreamWorks Land again. Over there, this is where they had Barney and Friends back in the day. And then they did a kind of test dance party show. And now they opened up with this one. This one makes the list only because Universal isn't really known for their shows. However, recently, which I'll be talking about soon, they kind of stepped up some of their theater shows. This one has the LED screens that go along the back. It's also a round theater, kind of like Festival Lion King style, just much smaller. And then it also has live singers, which is great because I do think that Universal gets to do a lot of more with the live singers and such instead of Disney, which a lot of them lip sync and not the greatest lip sync. It's not drag queen lip syncing. It's just kind of mumbles lip sync. But anyway, this one has the live singers. It has more of the relevant DreamWorks properties as well. So it is a fun kind of family show. Also, great AC in that building. Good air conditioning. However, going back to Disney for number 9 for some great singers, probably the best singers on property, The Voices of Liberty. That's over at the American Adventure. If you remember back in the day, they used to have the traditional like colonial garb. You felt like you were at Colonial Williamsburg. Now they wear more modern clothes, usually red, white, and blue. They're going to be inside the atrium over at the American Adventure. And they explain at the beginning of every show how where they stand, it's the round rotunda. And it creates like the perfect place to hear them because it kind of echo, like it's cool. And they are just extremely talented singers. Also great air conditioning as well. But it's one of those shows where you walk in, there's some seating on the floor, very casual, but they sing completely a cappella as well. And they're just very talented. I couldn't imagine what the audition process is to be in the Voices of Liberty just because they're always so talented and so good. Sometimes during bigger times of the year, more popular times, they'll be on the stage at the American Gardens Theater. That's where they have all the concerts and the candlelight. But almost every day you could find them inside the American Adventure Pavilion. And the nice part is you could walk in and see them. And if you don't want to go see the American Adventure show, which I do recommend if you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool because it's just all animatronics the whole show. And they come out of the stage and they walk and it's very interactive. Oh, that didn't make the list. I just realized that. No, it doesn't. It's cool, but it's not something that I go to the show to see. These are the ones that I'm listing that I'm like, if I'm in the show, if I'm in the park and it's about to come up and you walk over and you're like, oh, the show's about to start, I'll pop in. That's what made this list. These are ones that you kind of just would pop in for. And Voices of Liberty is definitely one of them that you walk in, you're like, oh, they're about to start. Let me just go watch them for a few minutes. They're great. Number 8 is another one that I will go see if it's about to start. Is Feathered Friends in Flight. That's a tough one too. It's like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Number 8, Feathered Friends in Flight. I'm going to stop saying that. That is their bird show over at Animal Kingdom. This has had many iterations throughout the years. It seems like they just started changing it. It used to be, I forget what it was called. It was called something, and then it was called something else, and then it was also called something else, and they had like Doug and Russell in it. Now it's back to a basic bird show, which I guess they can call it that too. But it's just great because the birds fly over your head. It's educational. It's entertaining. The birds kind of make it their own too, and they'll rotate out some of the birds. They'll have the birds that talk, the birds that take the money out of your hand, where they're like, oh, anybody over here with the 20? Haha. And everybody laughs. They do the same thing at like a lot of the animal shows, but it's an edutainment show. It's one of those classic theme park shows. I feel like just because over at Animal Kingdom has so many big shows, this one always drops to people's bottom of their list, just because if you're at Animal Kingdom and you're going to see one show, we'll talk about it, it'll make this list. And if you're going to go see 2 shows, you're going to go see that other one. And then if you're going to actually see 3 shows, which not many people do, then you make this one. So this is one of them that kind of feels like it's kind of overlooked a lot, but is a fantastic show in general. So that's why I'll say number 8 will be Feathered Friends in Flight. Number 7 is the only SeaWorld show on this list, will be Dolphin Adventure. The reason I did only this one is because they can still get in the water with the dolphins, which is really exciting. As you may know, for the Shamu show or whatever the whale show is now, Orca Encounter, I think it's called, they can't get in the water anymore. This one they still can. So it feels like a traditional SeaWorld show that you kind of go for. It also always has the montage at the end where it just kind of plays the music and the dolphins jump. Plus they're dolphins. Dolphins always just look so happy. I like dolphins. So, Dolphin Adventure over at SeaWorld will take number 7. Number 6, the only Harry Potter show to make it on the list will be Celestine Warbeck and the Banshees. Now, Celestine Warbeck is a character who's briefly mentioned in one of the Harry Potter books. I believe it's Ginny or Molly Weasley's favorite singer. So, it's like this very small character that if you only know in the books, you'll know. And they made her into a full show with all original music. And every time that you see Celestine Warbeck, always a great singer, all live singing, and then so are her Banshees. And then they do a special seasonal show for the holidays as well, with all original music too, which is also fantastic. So to me, this is the best show for the Harry Potter shows over there. It's the most fun. It's always good singers. It's original music, which is really fun to get to hear original, what the Wizarding Wireless Network, I think that's Wizarding World Wireless Network. It's one of the ones on the radio would play over there. So if you lived in that area, this is where you would, this is the music you would hear. And it's really fun, the music. And you have to listen to the lyrics too, because it's very, very clever. Number 5, Nemo, the Big Blue and Beyond over at, you guessed it, Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now, this show has been shortened down from the original version, and it kind of made it more of a montage of the original. So if you've seen the original, it's very long. It was like over 40 minutes, which is long for a theme park show. And it was the first movie kind of just told. This is a little bit more of a summed up version, so it's a little less than 30 minutes. So it's a little more concise. It starts off with the Finding Dory location, so it's a great way to incorporate both. The puppets are very impressive in the show. It's original music done by the Lopez's, same ones that did Frozen as well. I think it's just Robert Lopez. But anyway, it's all original music, which is fun that they took a movie that isn't a musical and turned it into a musical. I still won't forgive them for getting rid of Tarzan Rocks, which was in this location, which was definitely better and just really fun. And it was the rock music and also aerialist and rollerbladers. So that one was just more fun. However, this show, great AC, and also a really big Broadway show style production. So a big budget show in the theme park. So for some reason, Animal Kingdom's getting those big budget shows. Number 4, a show that I never miss, the Horror Makeup Show over at Universal Orlando. So that's an opening day attraction, or show, I should say, that is still there, which is fantastic that it has survived. The lobby is great, has a lot of cool props from different horror movies, or different Universal properties, as well as Halloween Horror Nights. So just fun to even walk around the lobby and get to explore that. And then the show itself has 2 actors. It's a very small, kind of simple show, but the actors can do a lot of improv where they get to kind of just interact with the audience and kind of make it their own. And that's what I love about these shows. It's kind of like when you think about the Frozen show, where they can kind of make it their own. It's the same thing, except a lot darker than the Frozen show because they talk about blood and gore. They could also just interact with the audience and make fun of people and joke around. A little more on the adult side, kind of reminds me of little Halloween Horror Nights that you can get year-round. Just that fun classic where it's kind of teaching you about the behind the scenes of movie making, which I miss because that's what this theme park was built for. But also that just the actors are what really make it come alive. And their jokes, a lot of them go over the kids' heads as well. And they make some digs at Disney, which is always fun. But the horror makeup show at Universal Orlando, number 4. Number 3, Indiana Jones Epic Show Spectacular. I think that's the name. Yeah, Epic Show. Yeah, Indiana Jones, a classic show at Hollywood Studios, has not changed really since opening day. Minor tweaks with some of the things, just to make it a little more, I guess, PC. But overall, same show. They're still using those old school cameras where they're pretending that they're filming, and you're like, we don't use those cameras anymore. Also, if you ever watched the Full House episode, I can't see it anytime without hoping somebody's going to pop up at the end and go, Steve, when the ball comes out. If you know, you know. But it hasn't really changed, so it's kind of one of those fun shows that you're like, I remember seeing this show as a kid. Oh, the show hasn't really changed at all. They don't do the interactive element where they bring the guest out of the audience, and one of them was a plant, and they kind of like he's actually an actor in the show. They changed that aspect, but overall the stunts are basically the same. It's a big show with lots of explosions, so the stunts itself are pretty cool, and that's what you go for, to get to see the ball rolling or the big fight scenes or the plane at the end. So to me, those big epic stunt shows, especially since we lost Lights, Motors, Action, this one definitely stands the test of time and hopefully stays around for a bit. Number 2, and people are going to say, how's this not number 1? But number 2, Festival of the Lion King at Animal Kingdom. Yeah, Festival of the Lion King and Animal Kingdom, one of the best shows that you can get in any theme park. They have like 10 shows a day, and you could honestly see all 10 shows a day and not get bored. It's just a fun show. It has live singers, and the live singers are so good. You get the Tumble Monkeys, the ballet, you get the fire twirler guy, the big finale at the end, the puppets, the characters, the interactive element where the kids get to be part of the show. It just has all the elements of a good show. It's the round theater. It's dark. It's air conditioned. It's just a great show. Overall, to me, this is the number 1 show at Disney World. This is the number 1 show that you can't miss when you're there. It makes sense when you go over there and you see how busy it is, but Festival of the Lion King is fantastic. There is a Lion King show over at Disneyland Paris in their main park, and it's also phenomenal as well. It's different, yet similar, but it's also fantastic. Yeah, Festival of the Lion King. Don't miss that one. And finally, number 1, people are probably like, well, you peaked with Lion King. What could it be? Oh, no, not Universal. Yeah, Universal. The Bourne Stuntacular over at Universal Orlando. A lot of people sleep on this because it opened during COVID. And people are like, what could this be? The technology in the show is what really makes it stand out. It's one of those shows that after you see it, and if you can get past the pre-show with Julia Stiles, where her acting is... She must have said, you got one take and I need the pay up front because it's bad. So don't go in thinking, okay, what is this? What is this? When the show starts, you will be blown away by the technology in the show. The different things they could do with it just makes you excited of what the future holds for these kind of shows with the LED screen and the technology they use and how it all kind of goes together. It's one of those shows where I like to go with people who have never watched it and see their reactions of, wait, what? Because it's one of those things that you've just never seen before. It reminds me of what the Indiana Jones show was, but then with modern day technology adding to it, just to show how far theme parks have come and how far technology has come, and really just shows what we can do and makes you excited for what's next. See the Bourne Spectacular next time you go to Universal if you haven't, because it is one of those shows where you can't really describe it, and you're not allowed to take video inside as well, which kind of is great because it kind of holds you to being like, well, what's next? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my list. Make sure you check out some of these shows next time you are there, and I will see you at the parks. Thanks for taking a ride with Average Joe Orlando.
You made it!
I knew you would. Is everyone okay? Hope you still want to open an account.
Say cheese! See you later!
Thanks, everybody. You were brilliant.
At this time, gather up your personal belongings and take your small grubs by their grubby little hands as you exit. Thank you.